Good evening, good afternoon, good morning, whenever you're watching this program. Welcome to the Topics of the Town News, and I would like to give a brief introduction to the Beverly Airport meeting that was held on September 9th, 2024 at the east side of and at the administrative building of the Beverly Airport facility. Public comments continue to not be understood and sent to the round wastebasket. I have expressed my views and the views of many of the Danvers residents that have provided input into the comments that are presented at each meeting. And you'll see that in the meeting that will follow. And we are tired of submitting comments and requests to the Beverly Airport Commission without any response. The problem is that these comments are made and they're never to be heard from again. So I have made my comments and I will let you judge as to how these are being received. But I believe that they go into the round file like we have in the past. The main issues during this public comment presentation were concerns regarding the environmental issues and the business use of the no consideration to the Danvers residents regarding the environmental issues. The environmental issues were discussed at past meetings. They were presented as concerns. They were presented as motions by the residents of this town, and no consideration was even given by our own representatives to the Airport Commission. This particular meeting, Aaron Henry, who has been appointed by the town manager to be a representative for the town of Danvers to the Airport Commission, and now has resigned. And now he has accepted a role as interim commissioner for the town of Danvers at the Beverly Airport, and he participated in this particular meeting. So, welcome, Mr. Henry. However, we are asking for a new member to be appointed, and possibly the reconsideration of the number of representatives that Danvers should have. And that has been discussed by other commissioners, and we should consider increasing the number so there'll be some balance to the actions that the Beverly Airport Commission takes. The rental and leasing of some of the facilities has been requested to have consideration for the environment and the noise impact of the west side of the airport, which resides in Danvers, 170 acres that are located next to Old Burley Street. So there are issues that need to be addressed, and you'll hear about them at this meeting that I've recorded. The only announcements that I would like to make, and this is maybe too little too late, is that this Saturday and Sunday, which is the 15th and 16th of September, they will hold a air show, and which has already happened. Today is Monday. The air show was well attended. The air show was a good example of community participation. However, they were incurring some significant costs in regards to the presentations that have taken place, and I hope they've made enough money to pay for all of those items. Otherwise, the airport commission should be paying for some of that demonstration. The other main item, and I will just identify it, is the simulators that have been purchased by one of the Beverly Air schools are being installed at the facility, and they may provide an opportunity for some of the student pilots that will be taking classes in the simulator instead of going out and flying with the plane. The planes are expensive, and their hourly rate is pretty significant. So this may be an opportunity for the schools to eliminate some of the flights and use the simulators to teach our student pilots how to fly. So the one thing that I like to do is I have this presentation for you, and it is long. However, I have decided to continue filming this because the Danvers side of the airport needs representation, and this is one way of identifying what are they doing to our residents on the Danvers side. So, enjoy the film. I appreciate your contribution to viewing this, and I hope to have some response in regard to some of the questions that are being raised. Good night, and enjoy the movie. It is repeating itself once a month, so take a look and enjoy. Thank you. Good night.
We are going to start off with the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Right. We'll do a call to the roll. Commissioner Zuberek?
Here.
Commissioner Gillette?
Here.
Commissioner Millett? Here. Commissioner Vitalik is here. Commissioner Hendren?
Here.
Commissioner Kosman?
Present.
And Commissioner Doxey?
Here.
All right. We have quorum. Commissioner Kendrick will not be here this evening. He has a family emergency. All right, we'll move on to the approval of the minutes from last month. Is there any questions, concerns?
I have the one question about it, and it may have changed since then, but that it said that the written statements of Steve Longworth and Mark Zuberek were part of the minutes, but they weren't in there, so I didn't know.
Okay. Yeah, we can amend that, and I can get those included in there as attachments, or just send those to the commission.
These were the comments that Mr. Zuberek had presented.
Yeah.
And I'm saying that simply because it's written in
Of
the
course. Yeah.
minutes that that's going to happen, so I just want to make sure we've got our bases covered.
Yeah, he did hand me a hard copy, and that's the only copy that we do have.
Right,
so
yeah.
We'll amend that and get. Anything else?
A very quick question. Page 3, landing fees and operations tracking. Et cetera, so I guess down this is we agreed we're going to purchase the full service.
Yes.
And I lost track of that. Did we? And if we did, what did we sign up with?
We purchased the full subscription to Motion, which is the black ADSB box that we already currently had on field. That would give us a year of tracking and other benefits. So we're gonna give that a shot and see how it goes over the next year and then and move on from there. Yeah. Any other questions, concerns in the minutes? Do I hear a motion to accept
Motion to accept as amended.
as amended from Commissioner Zuberek and a second from Commissioner Henry. We'll vote on that. Commissioner Doxey?
Yes.
Commissioner Coswan?
Yes.
Commissioner Henry?
Yes.
Commissioner Talek, yes. Commissioner Relay?
Yes.
Commissioner Gillette?
Yes.
Commissioner Zuberek?
Yes.
All right, unanimous voted, and we approved the minutes from last month's meeting. We'll move on to public comments. Do I have anyone from the public that would like to speak? Mr. Zuberek?
I think this is a very smart idea about having the podium here. One of the things that I notice, and I'm going to keep it short, I know I don't have much time, but I noticed even tonight, the minutes of the meeting from last week, I made 5 motions, and those motions were to be acted on last meeting, and nobody picked it up. So the residents don't have a voice in this meeting. Even tonight, the written portion was not included in the minutes for this particular meeting. So I just want to say, and I continue saying, that every public comment that has been made ends up in the round file, never to be heard from again. And even our infamous Danvers representatives do not pick up that information. So that's all I have to say, and I just hope you undertake some of those comments that have been made over the last year and a half, 2 years. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Zuberek. Any other public comments? All right, we'll move on to tenant comments. Any tenant comments? Paul?
Yeah. That's not just a written,
Just make sure it's recorded.
sure. So I have something pretty interesting and exciting to announce. So I'll just read it to make sure I don't go too long and mess it up. So we've been consulting with Kyle and Gabe over the past month or so as we pursued a new business opportunity for Avier Flight School. And now it has all come to fruition and we can publicly share the news. Avier has purchased the assets of National Flight Simulator of Nashua and Manchester, New Hampshire. This includes 3 elite iGate simulators, each of which completely fills a room with 2 pilot stations, an instructor station, enclosed fuselage, and 180-degree wraparound screens. These approved Advanced Aviation Training Devices, or AATDs, come with accessories to emulate single and multi-engine piston and turbine aircraft all the way up through King Airs. The acquisition also includes flight manuals, technical publications, approved curricula for initial and recurrent training, which the aviation insurance industry, which will be our main client, relies upon for pilots to upgrade or demonstrate continued competency. The company, National Flight Sim, also has recently held several contracts with foreign governments for training their military pilots on these various airplanes. Up to 200 different airplanes are represented by these flight simulators. We envision ramping up our business plan to reach a national clientele through contacts in the insurance industry, as well as the international contracts that we mentioned. We'd like to contain as much of this expansion as possible in Building 45 and operate it as a feather in Beverly Airport's cap. It was a fight, honestly, to get these units away from Nashua Airport. We did succeed. Matter of fact, as I was taking them out the front door today, they stopped me one more time begging me to please keep them there. But what I told them is the truth. My goal is to get everything laid out on the floor and reassemble these units one at a time. And it's not out of the question that we would throw them going back and bring one of the Sims up there and let them operate it in our name. We'll see. But anyway, as I say, our goal is to keep everything here at Beverly, be it something that Beverly Airport can be proud of, as another expansion of business. We believe that this business expansion will increase energy activity and positive exposure here in Beverly without increasing noise and nuisance. We can turn the volume level down on these things. The immediate need for space is fairly modest, as we need to assemble the first unit and launch our concept, marketing and business planning and whatnot, which is already, of course, in progress. The expected expansion, however, is expected to be fairly significant, to include additional rooms for simulators. Each simulator takes a full-size room. You could fit, well, this room's not good, you could fit 4 in this room. So if this room were quartered, you could put 4 Sims in this room, but not 5, if you know. Okay? We're excited to introduce the opportunity to the Commission and ask for your support for this expected growth. We just put out quite a lot to acquire the business, and we're looking forward to getting the revenue flowing and taking it from there. And I know I'm later in the meeting, but I just wanted to introduce this first. I appreciate your time. Thanks very much. Sure, of course.
Yeah, 3 quick questions.
Sure.
Can a pilot regain currency, instrument currency with these?
Yes.
Okay.
So you can do a full IPC in one of these units, as you could in one of our other ones, minus the circle to land and one other, an actual landing, I think.
Gotcha.
Yes.
Second question, what's the anticipated rate per hour for using this?
Well, these, as far as bringing your typical Cessna 172 pilot who goes out and buys a Meridian or a Cessna 402 or something like that, the insurance company says, awesome, however, we're not going to touch you until you do this 3, 4, 5-day course of training with Avia. Those will be in the thousands of dollars.
I'm sorry, again?
Thousands of dollars for those kinds of upgrades.
Understood.
As far as using them on an hourly basis, has not yet been determined.
Okay. And when would you anticipate these to be online?
I expect the first unit to roll out probably in about 30 days.
Good luck with your endeavors, sir.
Thank you very much. Brilliant. Thanks.
All right, any other tenant comments? Anybody else? No? All right. We'll move on to old business, the proposed lease with Beverly Aviation LLC for hangar number 4. Does anybody have any concerns or questions or anything about the lease?
This is the Bear lease?
Air lease, yes, for hangar.
25-year lease?
Yeah.
Yes.
I had a couple of questions.
Yes.
Okay. So, the first thing that struck me is a 25-year lease, which I don't have a problem with if there's some more guidelines inside of it a little. And one of my examples would be when they're talking about aircraft that is acceptable noise and emissions, the language speaks something like whatever is expected of that particular aircraft for noise and emissions is okay. So instead of, and without a 25-year review, we don't know the size, the make, what impact the aircraft have. So I saw that the rent is getting evaluated like every 5 years, and then I'm just wondering if there's some language that can be put in it to, one, identify what the largest aircraft could be that went in there, so that instead of saying whatever the aircraft produces is acceptable because that's the expectation of the aircraft, or how that would play out. Because when I read it, it just seems to me that and the way intelligence and aviation is changing over the years, 25 years is a long time. It's a lifetime. And if we don't know what that means in terms of the expected noise and emissions, then how do we monitor for noise, emissions, and all the things that we talk about at these meetings? So that was kind of a big question for me, especially where it's 25 years and there's no, just check in and see, what's happening with the aircraft and what's happening with the size. Now, I'm not an aircraft expert by any means, but the language is kind of loose, and just concerns me that how do we monitor that, or why aren't we checking in with just the neighbors, the towns, and what's happening over the 25-year lease? That's all. That's kind of where I was at with that. It could be an easy fix. I don't know. I just wanted to kind of hear what anybody else felt about the language.
So, do you mind if I step in, Bill, real quick? If I understand correctly, you're concerned about the definition of aircraft is vague in it, or that there's no parameters on the type of aircraft using it. Am I correct?
It's both, yeah, because
Okay.
we don't know what the aircraft is going to look like 15 years from now, let alone 25 years from now.
Right.
And if whatever sound and emissions an aircraft is expected to make is like approved, because that's pretty much how it's worded, then how are we actually monitoring the size and the emissions and the,
Right. So,
environment, that kind of stuff?
unfortunately, or fortunately, I shouldn't say unfortunately, but as an airport that accepts public funds, we have to abide by what's called grant assurances. And part of those grant assurances, I wish I had the exact number to reference, but it prevents the airport from making any sort of agreement or statement that would be construed as exclusive rights. Basically saying, you signed this lease, well then only XYZ aircraft can ever use this, and you can't have ABC aircraft in here. Because we are a public use, publicly funded airport, so we can't discriminate against certain types of aircraft. Of course, we have just in the length of our runways and the facilities we offer, we have just natural limitations on aircraft that can come in here. But as far as putting some sort of a clause into an agreement that says we will only allow you to have aircraft up to these specifications, could be very close to being considered possibly an exclusive rights.
So what about just a check-in? What about, I mean, if we can assess rent, if we can assess the respectful use of the property, and there's other things in there that, we can assess, is it out of the picture to just say, every 8 to 10 years, we just check in and see the impact for Danvers or Beverly, or whatever, do you know what I'm saying? Like, it just seems to be that little piece that
and I
is
think,
missing.
and we can also add some clause into there that upon agreeing with this lease, the tenant will also receive a copy of the airport noise abatement guidelines. And that is kind of a live, as I get complaints, I'm doing those check-ins with our tenants. So if someone who is out of Hangar 4, who's a sub-leasee per se of Mr. Bear or whoever, were to cause a noise complaint, in that moment I check in and say, hey, I received this, and if any action needs to be taken, then I would expect that they follow up with the operator and take that needed action. But I don't know that it would be prudent to put in some clause discriminating types of aircraft.
Right,
That
no,
would be-
I hear you on that, I hear you on that. It's more, right now, it's so open-ended, and, you know, we're having an increase of our corporate jet. I mean, just, you know, it's just a matter of how do we keep our finger on the pulse of what's happening over 25 years. That's, I mean, if it was a 5-year lease, I'd be like,
And I can't speak for Tom, but in my experience, I haven't seen, it's a maintenance facility.
Mhm.
So it'll just be working on planes, it's not a charter, or bringing in more jet business per se. And I haven't seen any jets in the hangar to be worked on, or a global or anything of that magnitude. I don't know what your scope is and what you're allowed to work on, or what, you know.
We have agreements with flight level to be able to utilize our facilities, and that's what kind of the separation thing that we're looking at here is to become the piston side FBO versus the corporate jet FBO, and keep everything up there that they have. We don't have the ramp space down there to be able to handle those type of jets and turn around, nor the weight capacity on the air on the tarmac itself to be able to handle those type of aircraft. It actually limits it right there. And the value cost to having that happen, to be able to build a ramp, to go down 2 feet in the concrete and dig that all out, it's not cost. You never get the return on the investment, nor would you get a return on a 5-year investment for the amount of money that we're going to be putting into that.
right.
We'd never get that. So it's cost prohibitive as much as it is anything else, if that makes sense.
Does that alleviate any concerns that you have, or is
No, I
anybody
like
else
the
in the
idea,
commission?
just put, you know, a statement just saying, put the policy in. It's just, we're all sitting here today, but 10 years from now, there could be a totally different commission board, right? So my thing is, I just want to make sure that if a question comes up, people can look back and say, well, we did talk about this and blah, blah, blah. Do you know what I mean? That's all.
Would we have to amend every lease on the airport that if you're managing hangars, that if somebody comes in with any type of plane? that-
No, I don't think so,
I'm not, yeah, so
No,
the
it
question is,
really
we
was
do it
just
for
the,
one.
it really was just the openness of the statement, because from that, I didn't get anything that you just said to me, you know, which makes it different, right? So it's really just that broad openness of it.
I think it's a great point, but that means flight level with their lease would have to, if a new type of jet comes in, like would we have to modify leases or whatever?
No, because what I was just saying after this is that just having the noise
Yeah,
policy, which
I-
everybody
Yeah.
technically has anyway, but just having it in there, I think kind of addresses that.
I will also add, outside of any lease that we hold, every year, twice a year, we submit a based aircraft list. So my office sends out to all of our tenants and says, give us all the registrations of the aircraft that you have in your facility, they're called Beverly Home, and we get those lists and then submit it to the state, who then submits it to the FAA. So that is another way that, and we're doing that twice a year, and getting an inventory of who's coming here, what new aircraft have come in, what aircraft have left. So that's, I know outside of the lease context, but that still gives us kind of an idea, as you said, a finger on the pulse to see exactly what's happening out there and inside the hangars.
That's great.
I think to piggyback on that, Gabe, I will say in my time on the commission, so 6+ years, I wouldn't say it's never happened, but I want to say maybe only once or twice have we, the commission, ever received that? Like I've asked the question and we've talked about it, only because the commissioner had reason to say, well, how many aircraft are actually here this year? So maybe that's something that I don't think it has to be done every month, but maybe when you get those, it would be better maybe if you were to share those with
Of
us.
course.
And then we'd have some sort of trend over time to see like, hey, 10 years ago it was 80% props and 20% jets,
Yeah.
and today it's
That's a great.
50-50, like we
In
would
fact-
have, and I know the tracking will also get us
Mhm.
some of that data,
Yeah.
but that's something, again, as the commissioner, I haven't seen a lot of over time, and I think Robin brings up a great point of just having a better handle of what's happening.
Matter of fact, our list is due next week, so I can send
I
that
mean,
out
I would
to.
go one step further if I were totally walking out, and I would say like, in the master plan, we talk about the design craft for the field and how many are coming of this class and how many are typical. I think you can almost line those up to help us understand like, oh, we've approaching 500 operations of B.
B2 or over.
Right, like,
Yeah.
we're getting to that point, and that would help us better understand,
Right.
again, kind of what we're gonna see over time, so.
Cool.
That's great, thank you.
Yeah, it's.
Okay, I have a question in terms of identifying the property, just so I get it clear. I believe what we're talking about is in the Danvers site, which is what, hangar 45 or hangar 54, I keep getting.
Hangar 4.
Hangar 4, this is the one,
The Quonset hut hangar.
yeah,
Yeah.
all right. Perhaps language just to include that for people like me who focus on all phrasing, that might be nice, but if that is what I think it is this the contested, please?
Yes.
Okay.
Yep.
Now, with all due fairness, all right, I have heard on one side of the argument, I have not heard on the other side of the argument, and we gave Mr. Chase, I believe, 30 days from last month, and I haven't heard from him, and I think we probably need to address that at the moment before we do anything.
Yeah, I mean, if we can have the ACE come up. I mean, we've done our due diligence as a commission. We've reached out to City Hall, Solicitor's Office, we've looked for minutes, and we haven't come up with any controversial.
Okay, well, from my side of the fence, I have heard comment about quality of that legal judgment, that's why I'm bringing it here, so. Just want to give Mr. Chase an opportunity to come up and say a few words.
Yeah, that's fine with me. Mr. Chase?
More than happy to. Glad you researched this as much as you could and everything. The original lease that I got, I had to provide month to month what I was doing to improve that facility. Right now, you're thinking of just extending the lease without saying, what are you gonna do with it? The place is a dump. My own opinion, it hasn't been maintained or, or anything. What are you going to tell the new lease what to do, how he has to improve the place, or if he's saying, I want 25 years, what is he, what is he predicting is gonna happen in the next year, 2 years, 5 years? You guys are just passing it by, and I just feel that's unfair. I mean, when I first acquired the building, I spent $200,000 because it was condemned. And right now, it looks like it's condemned again. Nothing personal or anything, but just looking at it, it's got junk planes, it's grown over, or it hasn't been maintained, and you're just going to extend the lease. And that is my problem. You're going to extend the lease where I had to give it up, and I was going to put all the money into it, but because of Gloria, I had to sell it. And now you're going to increase it without any mandates of what has to be done to that facility to maintain it. Thank you.
Thank you, Ace. And I'll have Gabe speak on that.
So, Commissioners, if you look at Article 6, paragraph 6.2, it does outline a required minimum investment. So this, so Mr. Bear,
That's for you.
Mr. Bear and I, throughout these negotiations, settled on a required minimum investment. That is a dollar figure that within the first 5 years of this new lease, that Mr. Bear has committed to investing in the property. If that investment is not met, then he will be considered to have broken the contract and will owe us back any rent that we've taken off as consideration for that investment. So there is a mandate there within the agreement to Mr. Bear to make improvements to the building and the property.
Mr. Cosmo?
I just want to make sure that Mr. Chase is satisfied with the situation as presented here at this table tonight. Our relationship goes back many, many years. I respect that. And he's had concern, and in due of his service to this airport, and he's done a lot of service to this airport, so he is due the respect and the courtesy of just asking him, are you satisfied, sir?
As much as I can be, sir. Thank you.
Yeah, and if I can echo that, I mean, my history with Mr. Chase is probably significantly shorter than most everyone at this table, but yeah, I just want to say this isn't anything against Mr. Chase. This isn't, this was just, when we went to City Hall and looked and went through minutes and consulted our council, this is what they came back with us and said that the commission is fine to move forward however they deem appropriate with this agreement before you tonight. So yeah, I also want to echo the appreciation to Mr. Chase of not only everything he has done for the airport, but also kind of holding our feet to the fire and demanding that transparency from us and to make sure that we're doing our due diligence. So I'm sorry that you're not completely satisfied, but I do appreciate your candor and bringing it to us.
I'm not completely satisfied, but I am 100% for this airport, and I only want to see it go forward.
Thank you.
And that was my main drive here. I mean, I can't change everything. The airport was going on a nice level, and then we had a management problem here, and things kind of got screwed up. And what it is what it is. Okay, I appreciate what you gentlemen have done, and ladies have done for us into researching it, but I only want to see the airport go forward. Thank you.
Thank you, Ace. If there's no further deliberation, do we want to hear a motion to vote on this and pass this lease through?
I'll make a motion to put the lease forward.
I have a motion from Commissioner Doxey. Do I have a second? A second from Commissioner Gillette. I'll do a roll call vote. Commissioner Zuberek?
Yes.
Commissioner Gillette?
Yes.
Commissioner Ouellette? Yes. Commissioner Vitale, yes. Commissioner Henry? Commissioner Constable?
Present.
Commissioner Doxey?
Yes.
Is that an
Is
abstention?
that abstaining from voting? Or?
Yes.
Okay, so for the record, Commissioner Cosmo will abstain from voting on this matter. But there is a majority rule, and we will pass this lease, and that is that. Thank you, Commission. All right, we'll move on to new business. Proposed addendum to tenant will agreement with Javier for office space in Building 45. This is in regards to expanding Javier's footprint in Building 45.
Motion to accept.
So I just want to say that this current addendum before the commission tonight is just for one small office and totaling like 100 and some square, maybe less than 100 square feet. A small office that they'll be utilizing. This doesn't include any larger office space at present as floor that would be able to hold the simulators that Paul had.
I was just gonna say, so that you included the lease in the packet,
Yeah,
just as,
just so,
okay,
just
that's
for
what I was like,
context.
okay, I assumed it was just for context,
Yes.
thank you. Thank you.
Yeah, so this has nothing to do with the simulator expansion. This is just acquiring a third small,
Yeah, the smallest office
office
over there.
Yeah. Are there any questions from the commission?
No.
Paul, sorry, go ahead.
Good.
No, just that, well, as we, in the initial discussions, it was the big square rooms that are kind of critical to this whole project.
Correct.
And from the beginning. So I really, it's my impression that I had put forth a request for that remaining square room. I really need that to be able to start setting up this first simulator.
Is that, are we?
Yeah.
I mean, we can always amend if,
If you would consider amending to include that square room, that would be epic for me to be able to continue to move forward on a daily basis with setting up that first unit. With the understanding that I remain tenant at will on all of this, and I'm okay with that.
Yes, I think my holdup right now, which I'll bring to the commission as well, is that we also are trying to figure out what is happening with Civil Air Patrol. Currently, the tower is not habitable for winter use, for safety reasons. We've been trying very hard to get in touch with Civil Air Patrol and have them come up with a decision where they would like to either take a room in Building 45, acquire the office next to Gabe's, or put money into the little tower. Or continue using, they have a large storage unit on property and continue using the conference room as their meeting spot. So this is the dilemma. I do want to give you that room. I can't personally say yes because I don't want to leave Civil Air Patrol hanging.
I don't think we are, I'm on a big part.
I was going to say, have we promised them that the
So-
space?
so I showed Civil Air Patrol the space over there. I showed them the space, that empty office, and next to my office. And they indicated that they, at this time, are okay being in the tower. But as Chairman Ritalik said, there were some concerns about how they're heating the building during winter months. That's been my main concern. But they have indicated that they would like to stay in the tower.
Okay. Well, I mean, it seems like, and I think the original idea was that it's sort of at will in Building 45 until there's a different use for it. I mean, if they were considering Building 45, correct?
It's been
It's been a while.
It's been a while. It's been ongoing. It's been fluid. So they're hesitant.
Yeah, I don't know that we've created an expectation that they were going to occupy it. And
We were trying to create an expectation by giving them rent at $1 a month to make a decision
yeah,
as to where they were going to go. We implemented that.
To be fair to them, it's 6 months, probably.
yes.
Yes.
We try to make the decision.
Yeah.
Do they, okay, so in the tower building, other than just storing all their stuff, they have all their meetings here. Do they physically occupy, like the persons, in an office someplace or do something over there, or is it just going up and getting the stuff?
Every once in a while, there will be personnel in the office, and I believe that they will hold some meetings also in the tower.
Yeah.
They have.
I think it's well
Well,
there.
they have.
Yeah.
Because we know they don't have any money to renovate anything.
Right.
We know that. But I don't think it's fair to hold up a lease, because if I, on my rental property, if I had somebody that asked for the lease and actually wanted to do it, instead of somebody who's on the fence, I'm gonna go with somebody who's gonna take it and actually use the space. I don't think it's fair to hold it.
Yeah.
Definitely.
Right, which I agree with, but if it were normal circumstances as a nonprofit child or, you know, or
It's
so
still a
if there-
business, nonprofits are businesses.
And-
But in that argument that we shouldn't have charged them $1 a month if we are talking about business. So
Well, I mean-
this is a different circumstance, and that's the only reason. If it were any other circumstance, I would say no, give it to Javier right now. I have no issue with that whatsoever. I just do not want to leave Civil Air Patrol high and dry. And I know you're willing to accommodate them however needed.
Right.
But I know that, like, that they might not want that type of accommodation. You know, they're hesitant about anything, so
But they have a space next to Gabe's office too.
Yeah.
Given no other option like that, that is
There are
what they could.
other options though. This is not if
We
they're.
can call it Paul
No.
and AVR's business because we have, you know, CAP, which is a wonderful organization. We have other options, so it's.
Yeah, there are other options.
Questionable why we're holding this up or
And-
wondering what.
And we never have committed 45 to them in the first place. And I mean, Paul's been very generous to say he's willing to help out, however, I think they're covered, in my opinion. And I like I say, I don't want to hold you up in what you're doing, and you're a paying occupant, and
Sure.
with expanding business, and obviously you've done I think an outstanding job trying to accommodate the needs of the public, and so I'm confident that we can find something, but I just don't feel right holding the Paul.
If it helps,
hold on, Paul, one second.
please, yes, of course.
Very quick question. I believe this body has been more than fair in terms of our dealings with Civil Air Patrol. And I'm getting the sense that there is like lack of communication with them. Is that, I understand this correct?
Yeah, I mean, I've showed them the spaces available. They let me know that they would prefer to stay in the tower. I said, we're kind of concerned about the winter and how you're gonna heat the building. Can you give us, ways that you might be able to help us out, improve it, or if you have any solutions for them, and just waiting out.
Okay. I'm just surprised to hear this, but I'm not trying to overcomplicate the situation. It's just, I mean, if necessary, I'd be happy to jump in there, get somebody on the phone and say, hey, motivate. And, this is business, this is the real world, and we've been more than fair. So that's all I've got to say.
Paul,
They have
are your
liability
plans
insurance,
contingent upon knowing which way we're gonna move on
If
this?
this is
Um,
safety.
All right, hold on, we're getting a lot of voices at once. Commissioner Gillette, what was your question?
Well, we just were on the same page talking about liability. If there's a concern about the winter months and there's some kind of safety issue that, I don't know what that is, but, who's liable for that? I mean, I think sometimes we have to put ourselves aside from, I'm a nonprofit person 100%, but what's the liability? What's the best thing for the airport? What's the best thing for the leasers? What's the best thing down the line for everybody? So
It's a known issue, we are liable.
Yeah, so they were using space heaters in closets to keep the pipes warm.
Ah,
And they're spending over $400 a month in electric. And then they were saying that they couldn't pay us the rent.
Because they pay much.
So
Yeah,
it was, and then it comes down to, if we do, we have a company coming out to look at the building to find out what the heating system will take to get it going again. But then, at whose expense? It's like, is it smart for us to sink $20,000 into a heating system for that old tower so the Civil Air Patrol can do that? And will they pay rent so we can recoup some of that money, or how does that work? I'm just throwing out a general number. I don't know how much it would cost to install mini splits on a couple floors, but it's not going to
Like
be.
10 grand, I think.
Yeah, it's not going to be cheap.
So, just curious, so I know that Civil Air Patrol is hired by the air shows in the past, is that correct? Are they being hired this year?
Not being hired, but they were getting a donation at the end. Yeah. We
They
can't
have some
hire
money.
I know they do.
I can write the check directly to the airport commission.
So, and this is why I wanted to bring it up with everybody as well. And I do want to give, you know, I want to give Paul the office, I do. Civil Air Patrol's concern was public access to them, having the public be accessible to their space. And they're more protected in this building, in the pilot lounge half, where you have to have a code to get in or a key to get into that building and then a key to get into their office. So I felt like it was safer and more secure in either building as opposed to,
What have they got there?
they don't have anything, I mean, that I could have seen, but
Is there, it sounded like there's other workarounds that Paul would let them use the space there, there's the office down the hallway, there's this room. Would they be accommodated in some fashion if we were to move forward on Paul using that space?
we've been 100% accommodating and are willing to,
So they just have less options than they had
yeah.
when we
But there's
extended.
options.
But there's
Still
still
options.
multiple
Right.
options available.
And they can still function.
Yes.
Right? They can find a room to work.
And they had 6 months to make a decision.
Yeah. Ace, yeah, I know you better have it.
I'm just saying, in the past, for them, I would let them use hangar 4 to have some of their meetings and everything. I also rented them an airplane space for $1 a month, that they never had an airplane or anything like that. The bottom line is, this is business, and as much as I support them and everything, it's business. And he's willing to pay, and they're holding it up. It's business,
No,
John.
I understand this,
It's
I understand,
business.
and I just wanted to give
And it's
respect to
just
some
to help
others.
them out and everything. I know, but this has been, I've had this business for 15 years, and it's been 15 years of this nonsense. And, okay, if it's a big thing with them, they can go federal, or they can go, looking for other state funds or anything. But why do we have to eat it?
Right, that's my.
Just saying.
So, well, it looks like, do I hear a motion?
Well, before we do that, Paul's gonna make a comment, we hear Paul out.
Of course,
Well, I mean, this first statement is not my place at all. But, I mean, in my mind, the usefulness of, I question, I wonder what they would do with that beautiful square room that couldn't be done in that room. And if they are delayed in their response, if they might be simply, for the winter months, in interest of safety, assigned, you will use that room here in this building, come down the hallway for your larger meetings and whatnot. And everything still remains on the table because there's a large potential construction project next door, which will be another big discussion. I would have use for a lot of that space, but that's the next discussion down the pike. If I could put forth a case for that perfect square room in the midst of the space I'm already occupying, it would be the ability for me to do this first step of assembling the first unit and getting the business model up and running. It goes without, and I really want this to be something at Beverly Airport's my home. Physically at Beverly Airport, there's a huge industrial park next door with tons of empty suites. I don't want to go there. And I'm not saying that, flippantly, but, it would be epic as we get into the next construction project to pitch for a really good multi-purpose. As a school teacher, everything's multi-purpose rooms now, So multi-purpose space, which could be, but that's another conversation. I apologize that I thought that the square room was actually in the offing.
No, that's okay.
So I apologize for that. It would be, it's truly perfect, and it's in the midst of the space I'm creating right now.
No,
I remain, willing to do anything for Civil Air Patrol too, as I know you won't.
I appreciate it. Commissioner
Sorry,
Ray.
and thank you.
Paul brought up, and thankfully he came back to the podium and brought it back, so now it makes more sense for me to ask the question because we had a lot of conversation in between. This addendum isn't the room he's talking about.
Correct.
That's,
This is
What is
another,
this?
this is a
Right.
smaller office that Paul had requested also to have for their use as
are
well.
we being asked to consider the second, I guess I'm a little hesitant to approve this, at the table tonight, he's saying, well, there's another room I would like, because I guess I'm confused as to what we're being asked to deal with tonight.
Right.
Under this,
Right, because, in the day-to-day operations, we, Gabe and myself, know about what Paul's interested in.
right,
Not as much to you guys, and unfortunately, this did happen this way, and this lease was written up for the smaller office only. So it was sent to you guys early to review, but, this is up to the commission if you want to vote, or do I hear a motion for a addendum to the addendum and include that secondary office as well? What's that?
Didn't I ever do that?
I don't see anything wrong with it as long as it's within the same rate per square foot.
Yeah,
I don't
yes,
see anything wrong with it, and 30 days is gonna be a loss of a
Right.
huge amount of
no,
income.
I agree, that's why I just didn't know what we were actually
Yeah.
being asked to
Right,
do.
so to clarify, Paul is requesting a lease on a small office, which is what you have in front of yourselves, and a larger office towards the back.
Perfect square.
And I guess to go further, Gabe and yourself are comfortable with that request.
100%, 100%, because he has been talking, he's kept this simulator business under his hat because it wasn't finalized. He did talk to us about it, but he didn't want to, just start telling everybody he's got a business, like new, like this acquiring his business until it actually happened. So we were, yes.
Motion to grant the two addendums, the second one that we don't have the paperwork in front of us, based on the same rate for the larger space. Immediately.
All right, so I hear a motion to make an addendum to the current tenant of will lease to add the small office and the large office under the same square footage price, exactly the same lease. This motion has been presented by Commissioner Zuberek. Do I hear a second to that?
Second.
Commissioner Relay, a second. And we'll vote. Commissioner Doxey?
Can I ask a question
Of
before?
course, yeah.
Is there anything that we're missing that we need to know about moving in this direction? We want to help out and keep it moving, or is there anything, any problems you see, Dave? Any issues, concerns?
No, and it's tenant at will, so it's very, right now, it's very, it's loose.
I think going forward, it might be a consideration that since this is a new business essentially come to Beverly, they're taking significant space, they've got some actual big assets coming in. It might behoove us to start drafting up an actual lease agreement and move away from the tenant at will with them. But I think that's a discussion for a future time.
And this might also, we might need to push a little bit too on finalizing building 45, because if this, and I want to
Three
ask.
quarters occupied,
Correct,
essentially,
right, yeah.
everything but the cafe
Yeah.
is now occupied.
Well, yeah.
Yeah, it's all aeronautical
This
use.
is-
Yeah, and I don't know, Paul, if your plan is to get, down the road in a year or two to get more simulators, if that's something
Yeah,
that could
it's-
potentially happen, but it's, the restaurant side is sitting, if it would be more beneficial to have that finished for the simulator side or something along those lines, we should start talking in the upcoming months about what our goal is with 45.
Is the layout conducive, because now we have Javier in the detective's office, CF somewhere else,
Right there.
and now this on that, does this layout make sense? Should we talk about
I think
We
what
can do
we're,
that after the fact, I mean, you know,
I
does
think
the
what would be-
space itself need to work for both of you entities where you don't need their people coming through your space and vice versa?
I think the most beneficial would be to finish the old restaurant and create that whole space for Javier. And
That would be epic.
that would be, I think that would be the most beneficial for everyone involved.
Yes.
Did it sound like you were making plans to do those renovations?
That would be epic.
At least 3 times I use that word today. That would certainly be a discussion. My company's not quite large enough to take up those kinds of.
Don't even put you on the spot. It sounded like you were kind of hinting towards that.
Where it's, yes, and, yeah, it's definitely.
If things went the right way.
Yeah, and if certain grant money or certain things came up in the next
Sure.
couple of years, if we can somehow finalize that building, especially if it is for aeronautical use, I don't know if there's something that we can go after to, help us finalize that building, but I think that would be very beneficial for everyone.
Problem solving itself.
Yeah. Bill, yes.
Okay, set in all good mood here. Okay. Is this business expansion or conquest?
No, the point, the gentleman, Steve Cunningham, a well-respected member of the aviation community, passed last year.
Okay.
And so this is his business, which was left to his trust. And so through multiple contacts, I was able to put in a bid and make a move forward to, yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if I end up with some kind of a plaque to him, respect.
Meant like heart.
Yeah.
Okay. Summing up the words as I think I'm hearing from over here, maybe an idea of a business plan in terms of where you are now and what's going on might be a good thing for us.
I've done that. Right now, the other thing is, this is currently under my LLC. If I ever do sever it and create a new company, I'll go through all of the paperwork and formalities with that business license downtown.
I wasn't thinking so much formality, but just, shall we say, notification amongst friends.
Yeah,
That's all I'm saying.
yeah.
I mean, we're being playful right here, but we are talking about some serious parameters, so
Yeah.
just throw it on the table.
Yeah, and I love, so this is something, it'll be a place that pilots can go without going to the really big, Florida, Texas, et cetera. There aren't many, if any, like this right now. And so I'll be doing the research on that. Of course, I'm talking to my insurance broker and planning to be an exhibitor at the next big insurance conference down in Florida next year and get the idea out there and move forward.
Again, this is why I like the restaurant side, if we could have a real nice facility like this,
Oh,
it would be,
I actually helped this guy start with business back
That's
20
right.
years ago.
one of them.
Yeah,
That's right.
crazy.
Yeah.
It's awesome.
And then, because everyone goes to Florida.
Yeah.
Everyone goes to Texas, so if we could be the destination for the Northeast, that would be,
I think it's doable.
I think that'd be fantastic, and, not tomorrow, but,
Yeah,
in the upcoming years for sure.
I appreciate your time.
Can you tell us the restaurants in
Oh, we
Beverly
have-
and Danvers are gonna increase
Yeah.
Oh,
their
yeah,
tickets
yeah,
from this?
yeah.
And no increased noise?
That's right.
Yes, that's right.
That's right.
Do I have any other questions regarding our lease expansion here? No, so we've had the motion by Commissioner Zuberek, we've had our second. Everybody ready to vote? Is that, okay. Commissioner Doxey?
Yes.
Yes.
Commissioner Castle, yes. Commissioner Henry?
Yes.
Commissioner Vitale, yes. Commissioner Olay?
Yes.
Commissioner
Yes.
Gillette? Commissioner Zuberek?
Yes.
Yes.
I won't say it.
All right, unanimous. We will addendum the addendum and get that going immediately. Thank you, commissioners. Bob, I'm sorry, I'm going to just swap you with Gabe just because he's got to get to city council like in a few minutes. So we'll move on to airport manager's report.
4 minutes. Cool. So I'm going to breeze through this, but please ask questions if you have them. So starting with our operations and fee report. So our fuel flowage fees were up, kind of going along with the same trend we've been seeing throughout this year, 20% from last year. from last August. Our landing fees, we broke the streak of having a decrease in landing fees month to month, and finally saw an increase compared to August of last year. So increase of 4% on the landing fees received. And our August enplanements for 2024, August of 2024, was 9,721 operations. That is a 16% increase from last August. So we're still, seeing big numbers on our monthly operations this summer. At the end of this month or beginning of next month, we will be receiving our Q3 jet fuel tax. So I'm eagerly anticipating that. Any questions on, all right. On to the budget summary. Kind of the same stuff that we've been seeing through up to this point. We're 19% through the fiscal year. We're tracking just ahead of that on our revenues, so we're doing really well on revenues. And we're tracking quite a bit below that on the expenses. So I'm really comfortable with where we're sitting there. You will notice a big discrepancy in our personnel expenses, that we've only spent 11% of personnel expenses as our salaries and stuff. That's because I've moved those expenses and am now using COVID relief funds to pay mine and my employees' salaries. We have about $60,000 left to use that. So we have 4 years from the time that the grant was signed. So the $60,000 I have remaining is in the American Rescue Plan. That agreement was signed in 2021, I believe. So we have, or sorry, that one was 22. So we have until 26 to expend those funds. But I should get those down maybe by the end of this year. So yeah, there's kind of how we're sitting budget-wise. Noise complaints. So we had 63 individual complaints. That is up 54 complaints from last month. Like 50 of those, 52 of those came from one individual. So that's why you see that individual complaints, we had 63, but the unique addresses complaining that it was only 6. So that kind of explains that big.
Was that a particular day or a bad 2 hours and someone was just nailing you?
It
or was
was,
that like
yes.
every day for 3 days?
No, it was a particular day that for an hour or so my inbox was getting checked. And this particular resident is a Wynnum resident, so they have issues when aircraft are using 1-6 and doing right traffic off of 1-6. And then I think that day they were also getting hit with a double whammy, and Boston was sending traffic really low over this way as well. So they were upset about that. There was just a lot of Beverly and Boston traffic coming over their house.
It's not good and it's not funny, but I would say it's interesting. Like that it feels like they were using was that the right runway?
Those are quiet.
Yeah, sorry, yeah, right. 1-6 using left traffic.
Yeah, so they were using right traffic.
Alright, so it was right traffic, not left traffic.
No,
it was
so
the runway.
it was
runway
left.
was not right.
It was left traffic they were using. Excuse me. Yeah, they were doing 1-6 left traffic. It's a trade-off. The moment the tower does, the moment the tower does 1-6 right traffic, then that's when we get the Danvers complaints. If we do 3-4 left traffic, there's the Danvers. If we move to 2-step. So that particular side, that 1-6 left traffic, even though the complainant is very vocal, it is the least populated place for the traffic to be sent. When they're on one. Yeah.
Just saying.
Yeah. So, type of aircraft. Oh, yeah,
Was it on the crosswind, you know?
downwind.
Downwind. So
Downwind,
instead
left,
of the upwind and the
1/6.
crosswind, there would still be impacted in
Still.
six.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
Bill?
Oh, real quick, this particular person, is this unusual, or they are, shall we say, continue?
Yeah, I've never received just one complaint from this individual. It's usually,
You will Morse code
it's,
T?
yeah, it's usually a lot.
That's why our year-to-date is so high.
Yeah, previously they've done like 60 plus in a sitting, 15, 20, so.
Gotcha, thank you very much.
Yeah. Type of aircraft, and I meant to print off and give you guys all an updated one. I did receive one additional complaint over the weekend about a helicopter. It was a Boston Med flight, I believe, coming in from the hospital and doing a landing here. But other than that, every complaint we received was about single engine piston aircraft. Again, on the type of aircraft, they're not applicable. The 53, that's the one that was just sending them all in at once, because it was just very generalized, there wasn't one aircraft that they specified was the issue. Based airport of the aircraft, 6 from Beverly, 3 are from Nashua, and then again, multiple for the repeat, yeah, we just don't know how to classify that. We did have 2 curfew violations.
Did they know it was MedFlight, and after you explained it to them, did they withdraw their complaint?
No, I've not reached out yet.
Just hope they never have to use it.
Curfew violations, we had 2. They were both, looked like just an aircraft doing 3 touch and goes, maybe some night currency. Both of the aircraft were based at the airport. I've sent out notifications to both operators. But yeah, just 3 touch and goes, one at like 11:30 and one at 10:45.
Any response from your letter to them or your note to them?
Just that they would speak with the pilots. And
It's
it was
like
them on
flight school planes.
One was flight school, one was the Aero Club.
Okay, you would notify me regarding the
Oh, yeah.
North Shore Aero Club. I have not heard back from
Okay.
them, but their meeting is Thursday or sometime this week, so
Right.
I haven't heard anything, so I'll let you know.
All right, thank you, Bill. Thanks. Any questions on noise? All right. And then, real briefly, I know it's been an ongoing discussion, the operations and landing fee tracking stuff. Last meeting, as Commissioner Castellan had mentioned, you all generously gave the green light to get the subscription to Motion Info flight tracking. It's an ADS-B-based tracking service. So I went ahead and pulled the trigger on that. So I want to just give this to you on a monthly operations report from January to now compared to the numbers that we received from the tower. So those numbers we received from the tower, and thus the numbers that I present in our operations accounts, our operations report, those come from Mary and her controllers. They watch an airplane land, take off, and they have a little clicker that they all hit twice for one landing, one takeoff. So it's all just kind of that by sight, what they're actually witnessing out the window. Whereas Motion Info is ADS-B, that's based here tracking all of those movements. So going through the year to date, it's pretty consistent that the tower is overestimating. At least there's a difference between the tower and Motion Info's numbers that show that the tower is overestimating or the ADS-B is underestimating the number of operations we're getting by 15%. So that's kind of the spread, the discrepancy between what ADS-B is saying and what the tower is tracking.
Jesse, would you like to?
It was a huge difference. Like,
I guess I go back to what we get out of the motion info generally should be fairly instructive as to what type of aircraft they're using in the
Correct.
field, whether
Whereas-
it's prop or jet,
Right, whereas the tower would just get
a number.
a number.
And we'll get the runway usage out of it. And
Correct.
again, I think that that's, I'm, again, 15% is not nothing, I agree. But to me, with a data set that large, I think we'll still have a much better understanding of flight loss for a very affordable price.
Right.
I
Yeah.
think I'm okay with it.
So we're doing the tower's monthly operations and not?
So what I present to you guys in my fee and operations report is the tower's report. Now that tower report, I will say, if you get onto the FAA's operations tracking website, the FAA's tracked operations for Beverly and the tower's tracked operations are like different by a few hundred operations. I mean, it's really close. So,
It's gonna affect grant dollars, it's gonna affect what we can apply for, it's gonna affect a lot of things. So I would,
Not-
if we reported it, I would report the tower's numbers, but it's closer to the FAA.
correct.
But using the data.
But
from
using the
Motion Info,
data from
fine.
Motion Info, I think, yes, it's
As long as we
been
distinguish
very
between
telling.
the two
And,
things.
yeah. And then you did mention earlier about the needing 500 operation from a V2 or higher aircraft. That is related to the justification for a 100-foot wide runway. Year to date, we've done like 530 of those operations, according to our ADS-B receiver.
Calendar or fiscal?
Calendar, January to August.
That's fantastic.
Yeah, so, I don't know how much, again, I don't know how much weight when it comes to that project, how much weight the FAA will put on ADS-B data that we're presenting. I believe that they'll have their own, data source to come in and watch, which they typically do before a large runway project. Look at a 20 or 12-year prior operations data to, finalize the numbers on the runway dimension.
You have a meeting to
Huh?
You have a meeting to
Yeah. Any questions before I duck out?
Who looks at me?
No, I apologize for having to leave early, but I will catch up on the recording and thank you. If anyone has any questions for me between now and the next meeting, as always, please reach out. Don't count on me for October, but, so.
Bye.
All right, thanks.
All right.
You know, October's not a holiday.
It is a holiday, so that was going to be a discussion I wanted to bring up in Chairman's comments. Yeah, we'll talk about that. Yeah, we'll get to Bob up here. Okay. Airport Solutions Group presentation. Bob, how are you?
Good, thank you. Mr. Chairman, Commissioners, for the record, my name is Bob Mallard from the Airport Solutions Group, and I'm here to talk about the 3 projects we have ongoing at the moment. The first one is the environmental assessment project we're working on. GCA has been out here to flag the wetlands. We've incorporated that into our base files. We're continuing to do preliminary design. We've established profiles and some other technical things. We're working on grading right now. And because we have the wetlands, we're going to be figuring out if there are any wetland impacts, EPW impacts to the proposed taxiway. The aeronautical study, we are still in data crunch mode. We have over 110,000 data points to look at, both on and off airport. So we've been coordinating quite a bit with Blue Sky, who's our aerial sub on that. It's over 30,000 acres of data that we're looking at, so we're going to be crunching that for a bit. But we keep moving forward on that. The perimeter fence project, I am told by Craig that it is done. There was a final inspection. There is a punch list. He says that not a lot on the punch list, but the contractor does have to come back to fix a few things that need addressing.
I did do a perimeter check, it's pretty bad.
Oh, it is?
It's pretty bad,
Okay.
yeah.
That's not what I heard from Craig, but.
There's just a gap, I mean, the fence itself physically is great, it looks beautiful, but the gap between the ground and the bottom of the fence is quite significant.
A
you know,
1 foot gap
you know.
will let a deer come in,
Yeah, it's.
and especially coyotes.
There's a lot, Gabe and I were talking, and I know that the state is trying to figure out a solution. I don't know.
Did they put it too high, the fabric?
I think, I
Is the
don't,
terrain just varied then?
it's tough to say, it's not that it's too high, I mean, it is too high, but it's like the ground isn't level. If it was perfectly level, then it would be easy to do, but,
Yeah.
I mean, I'm not a fence installer, but to me, I would have dug it out and made it more level, or.
Before you put the fabric.
Before we put the fencing up. I mean, so at this point, what's done is done, so we're just trying to figure out what to do. I have some ideas. There's an enormous pile of tailings in front of the carpenter shop over there, old asphalt. We can just, if it's not in wetlands, we can take some scoops and go along and fill it in, but.
Well, we know where the wetlands lines are, so we can do what you're saying outside of the wetland areas.
Yeah, yeah, so I mean, I know the state and Gabe, and I don't know if Craig has been involved in any discussions or what, but I know that they're trying to figure something out, because, I mean, they literally saw, there's coyote fur attached to barbed wire that kind of loosely laid on the bottom.
So they put because Craig had mentioned that they could fill a gap with some barbed wire at the bottom.
It really doesn't do anything. We literally saw tufts of coyote fur from them just running under, and you can literally just push it with your hand and get under, so.
Okay. We'll make sure we get that message out.
All right, but like, and I know, I asked Gabe, I don't know how far it's gone, but to contact the city, if that pile is accessible, I don't know if they reuse that or how it works, but if that's something, because it's gonna be like, to get crushed stone, to get enough crushed stone to do the whole base of the fence would be.
So the city meaning the tailings pile we're referring to?
Yeah, I think, I don't know if Gabe actually got to reach out yet, but I was leaving on Friday and I saw the pile there and I said, well, this would be.
How are we responsible for fixing the fence that they put in? First of all, have we withheld payment from them for the rest of this project?
Yeah, there's only been one payment made to my knowledge.
Okay, so it's up to them to fix the problem.
Oh, 100%.
Yeah,
But it's all, it's not, it is 100%.
This was the one that also got embargoed with somehow the payment because they crossed over the magic deadline of the state.
Right.
Yeah.
So they're trying to figure out how to.
So there's a lot of moving.
backwards encumber.
They can't backwards and
I know, so.
Trust me, I have the
I-
office
I-
next to her, it's not happening.
I understand. So I'm saying there's two issues really, because they're not gonna get paid
No.
if they don't figure that out.
Right.
Period.
So I know that there's a lot going on here, and I know they need to fix it, but we're getting into coyote and deer season,
Yeah.
and I was here on Friday and I heard gunshots, and I'm like, regardless of who needs to fix it, and it needs to get done sooner than later for the safety of the pilots, and
It's
that's,
fine, as long as it gets billed back to the fence company.
right. So, that's where I'm at with that, so.
Okay. I will
Sorry, I
add-
gotta keep going, I'm sorry.
I would give advice on how to do that, and that's up to you.
We talk offline.
Yeah, we'll talk about for sure, Ace, for
Okay.
sure. Anything else?
That's it, no.
Sorry.
Gabe did ask if I could send over copies of the PDFs that we produced, which I will do tomorrow.
Yeah, I didn't know if there's any more detail that we could kind of figure out before Friday, if there's like some time that we could talk and just add a couple of things.
Do you have any ideas?
Yeah, I just like, what we had come up with was moving the airport road, and if we were gonna pave the whole thing and put in hangars and develop that, what would we do with the city's building? You know, it would get torn down, but I need the city to go somewhere. And so I wanted to try to maybe get a mock-up on the other side of Airport Road with the last little triangle of land that we have left, to maybe put a building
Sure.
there just to show the city, say like, you are in our plans, you know, we don't want to get rid of you.
So you need that by Friday? That could be a little bit challenged, but can we talk offline maybe tomorrow?
Yeah, 100%, yeah.
Because Justin and I are both out on Thursday and Friday,
okay.
so.
I mean, it's
we can
literally
do it
just
between
like,
now and Wednesday.
yeah, no, I know, I'm sorry. If it can happen, that'd be great. I mean, I can obviously explain it to the city.
Yeah, do you have a size and a shape, like is it rectangular?
I was hoping that you'd be able to come up with whatever is there, whatever slice we have left.
Oh, sure, we can do that.
And
How about the
just-
building?
I have no idea. I just wanted to put in like a rectangle,
So
On the-
footprint.
just a footprint, just to show the city that there's room for you. I'm not gonna tear your building down and say get lost. I would like the city to be there.
Even if you just replicate the square footage they're using right now.
Maybe the biggest.
Even
it could
that,
be
yeah,
in that
or
space.
if this,
Maybe the biggest it could be in that space, and then they can just size it down if they need to.
right, I just want the city to know that like if they had a dream to build a building for the carpenter shop, for whatever they're doing there, if they had this square footage, you know, what would they do with it, you know?
I can set up a Teams meeting for tomorrow morning, if that works for you guys.
It's really up to Gabe. I'm available. I just,
Okay.
I
Does
know.
Gabe know you were gonna say something?
Yeah, I mean, Gabe and I have been talking about this. So we have a meeting on Friday.
I'll just send out a Teams meeting invite with like a one-line explanation of why I'm sending it out.
And I'll text,
He's available.
I'll contact Gabe and
Sure.
let him know what, you know, we'll talk about.
Yep. That way we can kind of do show and tell, and you can show me exactly where you want this.
Yeah.
It shouldn't be a problem. It sounds pretty easy. I thought it was.
You know, it's literally just like where you would move the airport road to come right up to San Alfonso.
Yep.
Just on that other side, there's like a little sliver, like a triangle left of land that we have before you hit the soccer fields.
Yep. Yep.
So
Okay.
we would keep it out like that, because if we were to develop this, we'd fence it all off. It would be all aeronautical use. We'd have to fence it, and then the carpenter shop could go on the non-aeronautical side.
Okay. Yeah, it sounds easy to do. So not a
A
problem.
little Frank Lloyd Wright, you know, motif maybe. It's easy, just.
Yeah. We get that a lot.
Yeah, sure.
So the PDF's okay?
Yeah, no, the PDF is great. Literally, if there's
That's
some
a
way
little
to
blind.
just add a rectangle on that top.
Yeah,
That's
but
all.
PDF format for you?
Oh, yeah,
so
yeah,
you
it's
don't need a
totally-
PowerPoint or anything? like
No, nothing crazy like that. Just the PDF is totally fine. So,
that? Sure, okay, yeah, not a problem.
cool. Thank you, Bob.
Yep.
All right, move on to commissioner comments. So I just wanted to bring up, next month is a holiday on the second Monday. Also, Gabe is, I don't want to go too personal, but we all know he's having a baby,
Likely out.
and things are moving maybe quicker than they were going to. So he had a window between the 3rd and the 17th of October that induction could happen, but it's looking more like it's going to happen on the 3rd. So he would not be available for a meeting in October. It's not the end of the world, we can still hold a meeting, but if we were partial to skipping October's meeting, there's nothing really pressing coming up. Javier has their new room, Air Bear has theirs. So it's up to the commission if you want to continue with the meeting or not.
Just a thought,
Mm.
go out a week, out 1 week, and then, but have that be tentative, and that way it only happens if something truly comes up that requires our action. That way at least we've reserved the ability to have the meeting if
If something comes up.
something comes up.
I support maintaining a monthly calendar, all right? And if we have to shift it, we could do that, but I think it's very important to the public persona that we are meeting that agenda.
Yeah, which I'm totally fine with that.
So, I mean, look, if Gabe is otherwise so engaged, and best luck to him and his wife, so we're down a person. We can work around that, make allowances, whatever, so.
Yep.
But keeping the meeting, I think, is important.
Okay. Are we all in agreement to keep the meeting for October? Does that sound like what everybody wants to do?
Keep the meeting on the 14th or the 21st?
Well, I don't think we should go go with the holiday.
Yeah.
We can't do that. So it would, it's really up to everyone what works best. You know, I know everyone chisels out the second Monday, so
If we move to Tuesday or Wednesday, that we wouldn't push it to the following week and then have a meeting 3 weeks later. I don't know if that impacts the dynamics at all, if people are available on Tuesday or Wednesday.
Police commission meetings on this tomorrow night, basically, so it's a monthly.
Okay, it follows us.
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm available on any night, so I can make whatever happen. So it's really up to the rest of the commission. Yeah.
There's a bunch of variables with my availability, but it'd be easier to just say on Monday for me, but we have that meeting.
So we have a Monday, which you would prefer the following
I would
Monday?
prefer the 21st, because
Okay, so
I
we
can't
have-
guarantee that I'm available.
We have one for the 21st.
I think that's a good idea.
That works for you as well. That's 2 for the 21st.
Make it 3.
Make it 3.
I have a meeting at 7 on that date, but I can come here first and jump on the Zoom meeting.
Okay, on the 21st?
Yeah,
Okay.
so it'll be the first part.
You can make it. Yeah. So, and Jesse, can you make it 21st?
Yeah, who's that?
Okay. All right. Is this something we need to vote on, or we just, okay, so,
But maybe make it public somehow, way ahead of time, because it's gonna be off schedule.
oh, yeah, 100%. We'll put it out, and I will make the extra effort to go into Danvers, and, because they don't post on their website. They don't physically post on your bulletin board, they told me. So every time I've submitted the agenda to Danvers, they do not post it on the internet for anyone to see.
You should insist.
Oh,
Yeah.
I didn't insist in the Zuberek way, but
Well, then you didn't get your way. You didn't get your way.
Well, again, legally, it's not a town of Danvers public body. It is a
Correct.
city of Beverly public body.
right,
So
so,
I understand where the town clerk is at, but
yeah, and I
we should
respect
be able to
that,
figure
so,
something
yeah.
out.
But yeah, so I will definitely make an extra effort and work with Gabe. Yes,
It's almost too bad we don't have some sort of marquee at the main entrance of the airport. Posters.
it's funny you say that, because we are looking into getting a new sign for the entrance of Beverly Airport.
Mhm.
And again, and I'm also looking into moving the cod behind the helicopter and having that cleaned up as a kind of a museum piece.
Or an Airbnb.
Or, I don't know, all the cooking in the world, I don't think anybody wants to stay there. But it does need to get moved
Yeah.
at some point with taxiway Echo, with the access road going in, before 2030. That has to be moved. My dream is to move it there. The fence company said they could very easily peel back the fence here. I'm sure we could work with Javier to move a couple planes for an afternoon to just get that moved, but that's on my dream list at some point. I wanted it before the air show. Not gonna happen, but it's on the time. For 2026, we will have a cod behind the.
Please, not necessary.
All right, so we'll move to the 21st for October.
Second.
And I don't think I have, oh, one last thing is, for all you commissioners, I know there was some people wanting to get agenda items in kind of last minute. The agenda is a living, breathing document throughout the month. So starting tomorrow, the agenda for the October meeting is being worked on. So if you ever have something you want to add at any moment throughout the month in between meetings, do not ever hesitate to send it. It's my door, Gabe's door is always open to add what you want to the agenda.
But inside 48 hours, it's got to be.
Yes, yes. So if you know the meeting's coming up on Monday and it's Friday, we're not going to be able to do it. Even Thursday, we try to get it out of respect for the clerk's office, we try to get it the 72 if we can. That's kind of the goal. So anytime you're in the month, send an email to myself or Gabe, and we'll make it happen. So that's all I've got, I think. Any miscellaneous commissioner comments?
We've started reaching out to schools again. We have Danvers High School set up with a presentation on October 24th. We're going to be reaching out to some of the other schools in the area too. If anybody's interested in coming with us and doing presentations, you're more than welcome. So I can let you know as they come up.
What's the presentation for?
So we do about aviation careers. We target the middle schools, but Danvers High School actually reached out to us and said, hey, can you guys do us too? So we're going to go do that this year too. We did Essex Tech last year, Beverly Middle School, Danvers Middle School. We did just try to reach out.
Do they have a large, like assembly?
About 300 kids each time.
Oh, nice.
Except Essex Tech was smaller because it was their tech students that were in automotive that were trying to recruit over to our side.
That's great.
Anything else?
Nope.
Bill?
Yeah, I got a couple of things here. First of all, to talk about our safety seminar we had a little over a month ago. It was very well received. We do not have a seminar planned as of now, but that's really the FAA's decision, not our decision. But I thought it was interesting as I had input from several women who requested something more targeted toward Women's 99 Flying Organization. So I'll just mention that it's been put in wherever the service, I don't know, but we've expressed that interest. Now for the best part. Okay, I have in my hand here the August 24 AOPA official newsletter. This is ASN, such as myself. And at last month's meeting, we had talked about implementing basically landing fees for transient aircraft. All right, that is becoming a nationwide phenomenon in the sense that it's addressed by the AOPA in this one. I'm not going to really bore you with it, but basically, because the AOPA always gives two sides of the argument. So the article is, be on the lookout for landing fees charged on low approaches. Now, aviation is not an inexpensive endeavor. Okay, we all know that you own an airplane, you're probably talking about $100 grand at a minimal investment. If you're a renter or a user such as us, you're talking like $160 an hour or more to go flying. And there are people who are flying and they get their, they get upset by the fact that now by going into an airport to do touch and goes, that they're being hit with landing fees. All right, so it goes on to basically say that technically airports cannot charge for low approaches because they would constitute an airspace user fee, which that's perfectly fine. But they go on to say that once an aircraft enters the algorithm for counting operations, in other words, radio contact, so on and so forth, even if your wheels don't hit the ground, that really constitutes a landing in terms of the system. So there's people out there who are really upset about this. And for them to do this, this is nationwide. This is no longer Beverly Airport or Beverly so on and so forth. So this is something I'd like to mention that it's gurgling up. I'd like you to be aware of it. I'll gladly give this to you. It's not that big of an article, but there's people who are concerned about it, and it's something that we know that we should do something about or consider doing something about. And the last thing here is that if we institute landing fees, it says it is important that pilots should know before they go. So if we do something, we need to publish somewhere what our definition of a landing is. And that basically means that if somebody starts entering our pattern using radio work, so on and so forth, that's being constituted as a landing, whether your wheels hit the ground or not. And that's going to have to be published. So that's what's going on there. I mentioned about the safety seminars. The other thing I'll just allude to is we got a little bit of excitement going on at Danvers Town Hall. We got a town manager going out, and obviously a new town manager will be appointed at some point. And it's got caught. So anyway, that's my news I can share with you. So that's it for me. Would you like this?
I'm a member of the OPA, but I'll take the hard copy.
That's classified information.
Oh, we're not nationwide yet. Commissioner Henry.
jumping off of Bill's comments, the town is also kind of in a holding pattern on what it wants to do with my appointment on this commission. So I'm on life support. I am technically off in theory, but the town has not figured out how to replace me. So I am here until the town figures that out. I don't know what they're going to do with that, because the other news that Bill is sharing is probably going to be a bit more of a priority than replacing an airport commissioner. But anyway, that is where we are at.
That may change with the town manager leaving. It's a political BS storm, okay?
I think that
Don't ask me how I know that, but
I
it
would
may
just
not
say-
happen.
okay, I get it. I'm just saying we had a conversation last month, so we're in a bit of a holding pattern.
Holding pattern's better than no pattern.
No. You have two new selectmen that don't support that.
Don't support what?
I don't think it's.
I don't think we should
that's
get into it
relevant
now.
to.
Just go to the Danvers coffee shops, you'll learn a lot.
That's all I need to do.
Yeah.
Definitely support
That's where we're
neighbors'
going
businesses,
tomorrow
that's a
morning.
great idea.
Commissioner comments, does anybody?
Every morning.
An update for the air show, it's started.
Okay, we'll get a quick update.
The announcer's here, the sound system's here, we'll start set up Wednesday, transforming the airport into a full-blown air show.
So if anyone has free time to set up tieback,
So, we did get a call, we got a call the other day from the Cleveland Air Show, that said, you need to call this guy right away. And in his name was a call sign by Top Gun. So I called the guy, says, I'm a New England native, Rich, we heard about your air show, we want to come with the New Orleans National Guard fighter wing. He goes, obviously we can't land it, but we could rip up the airspace in 15 minutes.
God damn right.
So he called me back 15 minutes later, said they won't waive the 45-day paperwork rule, so next year we're going to 26.
So this is your big weekend, right?
Yeah, we got 2 Ospreys coming in, we got a C-130 coming in, we got 2 T-6 Texans coming in. All female Skydiver team, all female bomber crew.
Can't believe the
Already?
When can I do it?
10 Friday night.
Friday.
Yeah, because we need the Ospreys to turn around, because we have to land, they have to land, we can't move them. So once they're in position, we can start setting up tents.
Good luck.
About 18 aircraft coming in.
Can you give us an official announcement, time and date and location
He's recording.
for the film?
Oh, the September 14th and 15th, right here at the Beverly Airport from 10 to 5, both days.
There you go, good advertising.
Is anybody coming besides me?
to the air show?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. So I would probably be here both days, and Friday, and I'll be here Wednesday, setting up tieback.
Tieback and
Oh,
cones.
yeah, I'm gonna be here nonstop.
Cool.
Great.
Anything else from commissioners? I hear a motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn.
Do I